Well, hello everyone. This is Trotter from the Tolkien Collector's Guide. With me is Urulókë and Mr. Underhill, and today we're going to talk about something that should be fairly topical for today because today is actually Christmas Day. So we thought we'd talk about some letters that Tolkien sent to his children. Not being a parent myself, I don't suffer from this, but I know everybody else does. That the fact that he's upstaged them all forever by his fantastic letters that he sent to his children. And we're basically going to talk about some of the differences in the editions that have come out, what sort of things you can look for, what arguably what may be the best ones to get at the moment. Though that's debatable. My view on that one is buy all of them. But
that's not debatable.
Yeah, it's not debatable. And talk about what's new this year, because there were some changes that happened this year with the Letters from Father Christmas. So I think we'll start with Jeremy, who can talk a little bit, I think, to begin with, about what's on the guide about Letters from Father Christmas.
Yeah, sure. So we'll put a link in the show notes for this guide, but it is on our site, and it tries to tabulate the various editions of the Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, the Letters from Father Christmas first came out in 1976 and is still in print today. In fact, new editions came out this year. Constant small improvements to what's going on in there. So it is something I think is going to be very helpful for those trying to figure out which editions are interesting or which ones you're missing from your various collections. So the guide itself tries to call out which letters are reproduced in each edition. So not all of the known extant letters are in every edition of the book. Not all of them are reproduced. So the actual facsimile of the original letters are in some editions of the book and not in others. And the transcriptions change over time as well. There have been some edits and modifications made. And then recently, so in 2019, the family, I don't remember if they discovered it around that time or if they knew about it for a little while, but in the 2019 and forward editions, a 2-page manuscript description that Tolkien wrote about what these letters are was inserted into those editions moving forward. So that in his own handwriting, he wrote out, these are the letters, this is the history of what I was doing with my family, and came forward from there. So the guide itself is hopefully going to be useful for those looking to figure out which letters are out there. But the book itself is obviously where we want to end up. So why don't we talk about some of the editions that have come out over the years? So I'm going to hand the ball over to Mr. Underhill and see if there's an edition or two that you want to talk about.
Well, first of all, I think it's amazing that the Letters from Father Christmas even still exist and were able to be published. You got to think about, because Tolkien started writing these to his eldest son John when John was about 3 years old. So John's not keeping the letter when he's 3 years old. Tolkien is keeping that letter almost for a keepsake and for archival purposes. So the fact that Tolkien kept the letters when the kids were small, and and when the kids got older, they kept the letters, and that so many of them survived is, first of all, that's astounding, and that the letters are even here and able to be published. The Father Christmas letters, it's been continually revised, as both Trotter and Urulókë has said, starting in 1976. If you buy the 1976, the first edition, it's got the number of letters that it has is actually quite small compared to the newer editions. It's great to have a first edition, but if you're looking for a complete set of letters, you're going to want the newest edition, actually, that was published just this year in 2023. It's only been out for a couple of months now. My personal favorite, Father Christmas, there was a it's kind of a rectangular, shorter book, and it's got a white cover, and it's got Father Christmas on there. It was published in the mid 1990s, and it's got a lot of the letters. There's facsimiles of the letters in that particular edition, and a lot. You can pull them out and you can unfold them, and you can kind of read them like you have the real one in your hand. And so that one's probably still my favorite edition of Father Christmas letters. But of course, I love the centenary edition that came out a few years ago. I love the size of that book. It's much bigger, kind of like the first edition. The first edition's a bigger book as well, and so the centenary is about the same size, and it's got a bunch more letters in it, and those are my two favorites. I think the mid 90s one, the smaller white one with the pull out letters, and the centenary are probably my favorites. I believe that there are 4 editions that are still in print. There's the centenary that's still in print. There's the 2023 that's still in print. There is the deluxe edition that's still in print, the slipcase, and then there's a paperback, a cheaper paperback that is still in print as well. I think those are the only 4 that are still in print.
The deluxe one has been updated as well. So if you actually have the first impression of the deluxe edition, it's now been changed to have more so there's more in there in the new one than there was originally.
It's the sheets for the 2023 edition, is it not?
Yeah, so it's been updated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I talk about my favourite one, obviously with a book that's got lots of illustrations in, you really want a nice big book. So the miniature ones are my favourite ones. It really does make it's weird to do to make little tiny books out of them, but they're great. There's actually 2 miniature. There's like a single volume miniature edition, and then there's 3 books which are all go into a slipcase. And I just think that those are absolutely fantastic. They still do have quite a bit of the letters. Obviously, not that much of the illustrations are missing because there's no space to print them. But they are still, they're very nice, and they do actually work because you can actually put them under a Christmas tree. You can actually have those, and I think that was the idea behind them being miniature, was that people could put them on their Christmas trees. You couldn't really put the centenary edition on; it would probably make the tree fall over.
Yeah, that must have been a trendy thing for several years, because there were, if you see, a lot of the minis are kind of published within a 10-year period, and that kind of went away. So it must have been really trendy for a while to publish small books.
Yeah, I think the gift editions of are very popular, obviously, in the holiday period. And so as far as Tolkien books, the Father Christmas letters are perfect opportunity for them to do that. We've got the miniature books, the pull-out letters. I don't want to call it gimmicky, but there's a lot more variety in
we call that fun. That's fun.
Fun. There's variety. I found some paperweights recently from the Bodleian that were Father Christmas letters. So I'll pull those up. I'll show some photographs in the video when we publish it. But there's lots of little things like that around Father Christmas letters if you're into collecting and getting beyond the basic text.
There's also a really nice audio book as well by Derek Jacobi.
Oh yes, the audio book is fantastic.
Yeah, the audio book is really good actually, because he sort of does sound a bit like Father Christmas, which is what I like. He's got the sort of Father Christmassy voice. Can
people get the audiobook on Audible?
I think it's on Audible. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is.
I think you can still get it on CD as well if you're looking for more physical media. I got mine, a copy of the more recent one not too long ago. So that's something to keep your eye out. It certainly was published in enough quantity that if you can't find it new, there's always tons of copies of the CDs on eBay or something similar like that, eBooks or one of the secondary marketplaces. But I'm a fan personally of having the physical media. You never know what's going to come and go on Audible, so having it sitting on my shelves as that. And Trotter, you actually have some of the more difficult to find cassette gift sets as well, right?
Yes, they did a in the UK, they did a gift set with. Well, they did two, and I've only got one of them. And it was the book and the audio cassette in a big box. And the problem, of course, with that is you give it to someone and they just tear all the box to pieces and then have a book and the audio cassette. So I don't think many of these survive. But there's also a red edition, which is actually, you can see on the screen. Actually, it's in the bottom corner. That one came with a CD as well in a box set. So there was a CD version. That is very, very difficult to find. That's almost impossible.
Yeah, I think I've only seen maybe one or two of those ever. And the audio cassette box, I've seen the one that Trotter has, and I've seen maybe one more, and that's it.
I don't think these survive because people would just rip those off as if it was like a Christmas parcel.
Well, they're a bunch of animals then.
Oh, probably. Well, you're right. They don't tend to exist. Obviously, it's quite easy to get the CD second hand and things, but it's just very difficult to find it in the book.
So if people are looking for a handy guide to collect the Father Christmas letters, we have one on the Tolkien Collector's Guide. It's very, very easy to use. If you're missing a particular volume from your shelf of Father Christmas letters, you can go to the guide and you can make sure you can check which ones you have, and you can check and see which letters are in which volume. If you're looking to collect all the letters, right, or you're looking to collect only the minis or only the paperbacks or whatever, the guide will tell you all of those things, and you can check what you have versus what you still want to get.
Yeah, it's very comprehensive. It's a very good guide in terms of. It was one of the first times we actually did this, and Jeremy did a great job on making it as comprehensive as possible, because I don't really think there's much missing from there that you could possibly want.
Didn't we do this during lockdown? Didn't we start it during lockdown?
That's one of the many projects from that time frame. And as we're talking right here, and as I'm looking at it on my monitor, there's one thing I want to go add, and hopefully maybe I can even get it in before we publish this video. But if you're looking to collect the envelopes, is one of the little side pieces where they're not always reproduced in the various editions. So, for example, there's one little illustration from one of the envelopes from the 1943 letter that's only reproduced in the 1999 edition. They didn't have it before or after that. It's the
that's the
three little seals.
Is that the letter to Priscilla, the 43 letter?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so so that one you have to go to the 1999 edition to see that particular envelope.
Is that the 99? That's the blue one? Is that the navy blue one?
That's the blue one. Yeah. You can kind of see it underneath Trotter in the background of the video. And we'll show the full cover of that one. But then there's another small illustration on the verso of, and I don't remember which envelope it was off the top of my head, but that's only in the collector's box set of The Maker of Middle Earth, right? They did a little facsimile of that envelope, and that's the only time the reverse of that envelope was reproduced. So if you're looking for completists, that's probably your most expensive acquisition. Oh,
those are that one's going to be a very expensive one. Those are hard to find now.
They are. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of little details scattered amongst the various editions, but for general read through, the 2023 edition, which is available from HarperCollins and from William Morrow in English, and are in print and new and very, very well done and reasonably complete as far as letters and the transcriptions of those letters in that edition. For the highest quality reproduction of the letters themselves, I think the Centenary, the 2020 edition, is fantastic for that. I haven't seen the new deluxe that's based on the 2023, but I think it's very good quality. So there's a lot of, basically the newer the better. I think if you're just looking to read the letters and see reproductions of the letters, it's you can't go wrong just buying what's currently in print, basically. there's interesting stuff buried, like the 99 edition, and the removable letters and the miniatures are a lot of fun to collect, but they're absolutely not necessary to enjoy Tolkien's letters to his children. And then we're going to talk a little bit as well about translations. I think this is one of the Tolkien's books that has done really well internationally. It's been translated into, I don't know how many different languages and editions, but
I think we were talking off camera. I think it's in the top 5 of Tolkien volumes that in terms of number of translations. It's up there with The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
Yep. And so and they're well translated. They have his letters reproduced in some form or another in there for you to be able to see.
But some of them have got actually manuscripts writing in that language as well. So they've even gone and changed the manuscripts to fit the language, which is very clever to do. Yeah, it's very difficult, and I think it does look nice because it puts it into that language. But you're adding a whole new level of complexity. It is trying to do that.
Tolkien added that level of complexity himself. If you look at the manuscripts of his letters, he had 3 or 4 different handwritings that he would use based on whether it was Father Christmas or Polar Bear, or his Father Christmas had an elf assistant, right? And then he had a specific handwriting. Yeah, and one of the things
so his children wouldn't know it was him, even though I'm sure they must have worked it out.
Even though I think as they got older, they figured it out. The one of the other things that's really great about the Father Christmas letters and the envelopes too, like Jeremy was saying, is that the stamps on the envelopes are all Tolkien illustrated, which the fact that he took the care to illustrate the stamps, and they're quite striking. Some of the stamps, the way that he drew them and they're illustrated, they're fantastic.
Well, allegedly he bribed the postman as well to deliver them, which is
that's the story. I've heard that story that he bribed the postman to drop them off.
So the children would see the postman come with these and really get it. They would probably be a bit more thinking, well, it can't be my father doing this, because how was the postman delivering it? It's very clever.
The other really cool story is that because Priscilla was so much younger than the other 3 boys, and by the time the boys were old enough to realize it was Tolkien, they all kind of they made sure that they didn't, that Priscilla didn't find out, right? They all kind of they didn't keep it from her, but they all kind of bought into the magic of Father Christmas, which is always really heartwarming.
Well, they found out if I remember rightly, they found out one year because he came into their room dressed as Santa, and then he fell over the bed and he did his normal swearing. So they knew it was him because it was exactly the same as whenever he'd done that hundreds of times before. So he sort of gave it away a bit with. He even did that. He even went into their rooms dressed as Santa and things to try and keep the pretense. It's great, really. Well, I think. We've now inspired everyone now to actually go out and do this for their children.
There we go. Urulókë is getting in the holiday spirit. There he is. There he is.
So to at least what Tolkien did for your children. But hopefully, I hope everyone has a really good, enjoys the rest of their Christmas day, and doesn't eat too much and drink too much. Well, yeah, you can. It's Christmas.
No, go ahead. You have our permission. Go ahead and eat too much.
Do what you like. Yeah, do what you like.
Enjoy yourselves. Responsible.
And at this point, I think it's worth saying a Happy New Year from everyone at the Tolkien Guides, from all 3 of us. Yes. And thank you for watching.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays,
Happy
everybody.
New Year. Happy holidays.
Holidays.